So, no matter who you support, chances are your team has sold some quality players down the years. And if you'd still kept them, you could be a lot better off right now. So even if you are top side, maybe you could have won a trophy. If you're a lower side, you could be high up the table. And I think Forest is definitely a classic example of this. Today I'm selecting what I think, in my opinion, is the best Forest 11 of players that we've sold. Goalkeeper, Karl Darlow. Really, for goalkeeper, there wasn't many options, so Darlow was an obvious choice for me. Growing up, he's the goalkeeper that I remember being in net for us mainly. 111 appearances in 5 seasons. He was a great goalkeeper, and he was one of our academy graduates. Before we sold him to Newcastle, he's only played 53 appearances since then, and that was in 2015. So 53 appearances in 5 years as a goalie isn't great. The only other goalkeeper option I had on here was Doris de Vries. He was our backup while Darlow was with us, but then he became number 1 when Darlow left. Played 45 games in that season, which wasn't bad, and then we just sold him to Celtic as well. So de Vries was actually a pretty good goalie. Left back, Jack Robinson. Now you might be thinking, why haven't I picked someone else like Ryan Bertrand, for example? Well, Bertrand was only on loan, and he actually only played 19 times, and I don't even remember Ryan Bertrand at Forest, so that's one of the reasons why. And really, I think Robinson was quite an underrated left back for us. So for me, I don't think it's that weird at all. Sold him to Sheffield United, of course, just back in January, in 2 seasons for us after we signed him from QPR. Obviously, he made 38 appearances and only 18 in the current season we're in. I mean, I can't really say anything in particular about each player because obviously I don't tend to go to many games, unfortunately, so I haven't really seen them up close, a lot. But Robinson, I think, is quite an underrated player. Plus the fact there really wasn't many options at left back. There was someone coming up in a minute that I could have put at left back, but I put him in a more of a natural position where he started his career. You'll see in a minute. First centre back, Jamal Lascelles. I think most people would have to put him in this team. He's now Newcastle United's captain. Another player we sold to Newcastle. I think it was actually the same season we sold Darlow. We sold Lascelles as well, which is quite annoying, really. He had 4 seasons with us, and only really in 2 of those seasons he was actually a regular. And it's not even like he played like every game of the season, like 40 out of the 46 games. The most he played in a season for us was 29, and 25 was the second best. So it wasn't even a huge amount. But 65 appearances overall, 4 goals, not bad for a centre-half. But like I said, he's gone on to do a lot more than Karl Darlow did. He's now Newcastle captain, a Premier League captain as well, 160 appearances. I mean, fair play to the guy, he's done really well. I'd love to have him back at Forest now. He would be a quality signing. The other centre-back, Dani Fox. We sold him to Wigan last season. You might be thinking, really? Dani Fox? There wasn't many options, honestly. You could do this yourself. Have a look back. There really wasn't anyone that stood out for me other than Lascelles. And Fox, I think, he was with us for 5 seasons. So that's not bad at all. 127 appearances is pretty good as well. No goals but 12 assists, which again, for a defender ain't bad. We signed him from Southampton back in 2014. When he was doing the Premier League, he's also had experience in the Championship with Southampton as well. And, towards last season, when he was with us, I remember he upgraded to number 4, and I thought, yeah, he's going to be with us for a few more seasons. But then he just left in January. Not that that really has anything to do with it, but still, like, when a player upgrades number, you think they're going to be more of a bigger part of the team. And he played quite a bit in that season as well, so I don't really understand why we sold him, but that's my pick. Other options at left back were Greg Halford. I mean, interesting option, to be honest. And the really strange thing about Greg Halford is he was a centre-back, but he played 10 games for us up front. Here's a map actually on the screen if I can find it. He played 10 games up front. I mean, what's that all about? He played 82 games in total though. Jack Hobbs, he wasn't an incredible player, but he scored a winner against Derby. So, Forest legend without a doubt. And Alexander Milosevic. He only played half a season for us, but I really don't understand why we sold him. He was a great player. Like, every Forest fan loved him. He already showed a lot of passion for the club. Like, I remember against Derby, and I think there was another game, the Middlesbrough. They're screaming in front of the crowd. That's incredible to see when you want to see that from your players. He was actually really good. He was a very solid player, and I don't understand why we sold him. He doesn't even play for anyone now. He's just a free agent. Right back, Eric Lehigh. We sold him to Hull City, of course, 2 seasons ago, and I mean, he was very reliable for us in, how many seasons was it? I don't know how I forgot that. 5 seasons, that's right, 190 appearances, 6 goals, 7 assists, and of course 2 of those goals were against Arsenal. which was, I'm not even pointing at it, I can actually get it on that target. There we go, David, that's better. To be fair to this transfer, age wasn't on his side, but still, if we had him and Cash, I know Cash wasn't a right back then, he was actually a winger like he used to be. If you had him and Lehigh now as option, I prefer Lehigh as a backup than Jenkinson, to be quite fair. Midfield, Henri Lansbury. On his day, Lansbury was a really good player for us. I remember him as one of our best players when I was probably getting into watching Forest. And he was a really good player, sold into Villa, of course, and now he just warms the bench still, even in the Premier League. 150 appearances, 33 goals, 20 assists. Not bad at all. A moment that stands out for me with Lansbury was when he scored a hat-trick away at Barnsley when we won 5-2. That was a really good game. That was a season when we actually stayed up by 2 goals, so that's quite impressive. And we signed from Arsenal, of course. Going next to him, Adlen Guedioura. Guedioura had 2 spells for us with Forest and a very underrated player. Very well known for scoring an absolute banger from range. This wasn't even for Forest, but Watford against Arsenal. I think it was the FA Cup semi-finals. I might be wrong about that. An incredible goal from close range. The amount of power he put behind it was unbelievable. Got a goal for Forest was against Leeds when we won 7-3 away 7 years ago now or something. That was an incredible goal. Against West Brom last season, he played an absolute blinder, nearly scored a goal from the halfway line. And then he went and scored a goal from still quite a good distance as well, so fair play. We sold him to Wolves initially, and then some Qatari team. I have absolutely no idea how to say, but yeah, a real shame, to be honest. He could have done even more. Other options in midfield, Aaron Ramsey. I was thinking about putting him in the main team, but he only played 5 games for us, which I was actually really surprised he only played that many. Jack Colback, of course, the last 2 seasons was absolutely fantastic for us in midfield, and now he's just rotting away in Newcastle's reserves. Lewis Mcgowan was actually with us for quite some time, 224 appearances, 43 goals, 27 assists. So maybe I should have put him in ahead of Guedioura, but I don't know. I just know more about him, to be fair. Guy Moussi as well, 150 appearances, 3 goals, 6 assists. For a CDM, not bad at all. David Vaughan, I think he's worth a mention. Kieran Dowell was also our top scorer when he was on loan from Everton about 2 seasons ago now with 9 goals. Right wing, Michel Antonio. A player that has been hit by a huge amount of injuries. It's such a shame. He was actually ruled out playing for England twice. He was called up but couldn't play because of injuries. And I mean, I don't remember much of him at Forest, but he played 54 games, 17 goals and 19 assists in just a season. But he was still a very good player, and I think if we were to have him now instead of the likes of obviously Diakabi and Adom is not with us at the moment, him and Amiobi and Lolly, that would be an amazing set of wings we got there. Other side, Ben Osborne. Obviously Ben Osborne, one of my favourite Forest players I can remember growing up watching Forest. He was sold to Sheffield United last summer, of course, just to be probably the most expert bench warmer in history, because he's not even started 1 game, I don't think, in the top flight, which says a lot, really. Such a shame, after 7 seasons with your boyhood club, to leave just to go warm the bench. And I know it's a Premier League team, but still, is money really that flexible? I mean, obviously, yes, it is, but still, I think that's really sad in football terms. 230 appearances, 16 goals, 31 assists. He wasn't a hugely consistent player or an unbelievable player, but on his day, he was a very good player as well. I've said player 3 times now, I need to stop. I remember he scored a really good goal against Leeds last season. We won 4-2 at home. And obviously, Derby away, although years ago, that was just the moment that we'll never forget as Forest fans. Notable mentions on the wing, Oliver Burke, a fantastic young player, wasted going to RB Leipzig when they were first kind of getting into the Premier League. Not Premier League, David, Bundesliga. 13 million, a massive waste of talent. Of course, he's now playing for West Brom, and a bit like Oliver Burke, Arvin Appiah. Only played 8 games, scored 1 goal against Burton, I think it was, in the League Cup last season. I mean, he wasn't as crucial as Burke was when he was with us, but still, it's a real shame. A waste of talent. Going to Almeria, I think that is, in Spain. Such a weird transfer, that. Jamie Patterson, of course, the thing that I remember about him scoring a hat-trick against West Ham in the FA Cup 5 years ago. We were 5-0 in that game, of course. So, of course, I've gone for a classic 4-4-2 formation. Ben Brereton is my first striker up front. And exactly like Appiah and Burke, a massive waste of talent. He, of course, scored 2 goals against Arsenal, again up there. And, of course, his first ever goal for us, very late on against Aston Villa at home, 2-1 win that. He wasn't an unbelievable player, 57 appearances, 9 goals, 7 assists. He could have done a few more than that, to be fair, but still a lot of promise. A very fast player as well. Just a huge waste of talent to send to Blackburn. Not a step up at all. Bit like the other option I'm about to say up front. Not really a step up at all. I mean, we got 6 million out of it, but still, a real waste. And I think you know what the other option is. Of course, it is Britt Assombalonga up front. I mean, do I need to say much about him? I think he was one of the few Forest players in the last decade that got over 15 goals in a season, so he had to be in here. Very physical, very quick, and was an absolute bagsman for us. And I think I said this in the Forest kit ranking video I did last week as well. Imagine if we had Britt Assombalonga and Lewis Grabban up front. Not like starting, but if we don't have Grabban, if he gets injured, we have Britt Assombalonga. That would be scary, man. But no, it's just a shame we sold him to bloody Middlesbrough. Like, why Middlesbrough? And I seem to remember Burnley, I think Huddersfield were in the top flight, were interested in him. I think I don't even know who the team were, but Watford, I think. Premier League teams were interested, yet we sold him to Borough in the Championship. I just don't get that. Other honourable mentions up front, Dexter Blackstock, 187 appearances, 40 goals and 23 assists. Simon Cox, I mean, is he worth it? I don't know, but he did blank 82 appearances, 14 goals, 16 assists in 3 seasons. We sold him to Reading. Nelson Oliveira, of course, only 1 season on loan from Benfica, but still, he scored a goal against Derby, so, you know, absolute legend. So yeah, I think that's about it really. That is my Forest team of the best players that we sold. And if we still had them, we would be probably in the Premier League by now. I genuinely do think that. Please, of course, let me know in the comments below any players that I've missed out or your own team. I mean, I could do like 2 teams with this. There's been that many. Please let me know other stuff I can rank and other stuff I can grade, like, you know, XIs and that kind of thing. I've really enjoyed doing it. More of this coming in the future. And yeah, Pompey videos coming very soon, probably tomorrow. If this is out on Tuesday, I don't know. More podcasts, etc. All that kind of thing. Football's coming back very soon, so hopefully previews can return soon as well. But until next time, please do like and subscribe to Rads, and up the Reds.